vacuum tubes are warming up. This is a special live broadcast right here on Georgia Radio.
Well, good morning, everybody. Matt Jolly here with you for the 10th of November. It's Wednesday. It's time for Neighbor to Neighbor. If you have your request and all of that fun stuff that you want to send in, all the way till 10, from 10 to 2 today, we'll get that on. But hey, listen, glad you're here. If you're just finding out about Georgia Radio, we're glad you're here. Share it with your friends and, whoever else you want to share it with. We'd be glad to have them listening as well. We're talking about the Antique Ag Show going on out there at the Georgia National Fairgrounds all weekend. It actually starts tomorrow and on Veterans Day. A little bit of a rainy day tomorrow is what they're forecasting, but not to worry, the rest of the weekend just looks perfect. And it's not like a tractor's never been in the rain. Isn't that right, Hamilton?
That is absolutely correct, man.
Thanks for being here. Hamilton Halford joins us today. He's the director out there for the Antique Ag Show going on, the event chairman. That sounds like one of those titles that they give you when nobody else wants to do it. You know what
Well, it's like being an inmate picking up trash on the side of the road, man. Somebody's got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it.
And I want to thank you for reaching out to me and reaching out to the Antique Ag Show in the fairgrounds and help support this. Can't thank you enough.
Well, listen, this is important stuff. You know, I remember the first year that I went out there. I think it was the first year that you guys had this show. And I was just blown away by all the stuff that you had on display because, you know, this is one of those things where, and I've said it before on this station, if you go to a museum and you see a stuffed lion, well, it's kind of neat. But if you go to a zoo and you hear it roar, suddenly it all becomes clear and you understand why this works the way it does and why it helped these people and why it was important. And you just can't see one of these pieces of history in a museum and have a full appreciation for it. I'll give you an example. I was out there with a 9-year-old, and he was standing up there watching the steam tractor come to life. And all of a sudden, it blew some steam. You know, the regulator kicks in, and he jumps back, and the guy said, not to worry. He explained it to him, and he left there with a real understanding of the way that piece of machinery worked and how far we've come since then. You don't get that in a museum.
That is correct. A lot of the machinery that you'll see out there this weekend is what the farmers cut the teeth on back in the early 1900s. The peanuts, the cotton and the corn and the soybeans and all that was grown in this region of the world back then. You'll see examples of the machinery used back then to harvest, to plant, to cultivate those crops. And we want to give everybody a snapshot within 2.5 days as to what that was all about. More particularly, the peanut thrashing. We're going to do peanut thrashing just like they did back in the early 1900s, 1930s, and 1940s. Back then, peanuts were only about 600 pounds to the acre, and a farmer would go out and he would have to do a lot of manual labor just to get that 600 pounds of peanuts per acre to the warehouse or to the buying point. And today, when you ride down the road and see a peanut field, out there in that peanut field, especially if it's irrigated, typically you got 2 to 2.5, maybe 3 tons of peanuts to the acre today. And if they grew the peanuts back then like they do now, and you had to combine them and get them up like you did back then, people would just give up farming because there's not enough farm help out there to do it. But the mechanics, the equipment, all of the technology evolved, and now we have self-propelled peanut combines that goes down through there and gets 6 or 8 rows of peanuts at the time. And they're gathering it up quick so they can get it in between rain showers, get it to the warehouse, and get possibly the best bang for the buck with that crop. And we just want to give the youngins an opportunity to come see how it was done. We want to give the folks my age and a little bit older an opportunity to come out and reminisce how it was back in the day. There's going to be a lot of rare equipment there. We've got that steam tractor that you mentioned will be back. We've got a tractor that's going to be there that was made by Porsche.
Wow.
There's going to be some John Deeres there that are ultra rare. There's going to be memorabilia, toys. We're going to have demonstrations of, again, that peanut thrashing. We're going to bale the straw from that, just like they did back in the day. Mr. Billy Leitner, he's coming over to grind corn. We'll be doing that right after the peanut thrashing. He'll demonstrate how they used to grind corn and still do today. And we've got another gentleman from Rennes, Georgia, that's going to be there Friday. He's going to be demonstrating how they squeeze the syrup or the juice out of sugarcane stalks. And he will take that juice, and on Saturday he's going to cook that juice and make syrup. So we don't have anybody making any biscuits that I know of, but he's going to demonstrate how to squeeze what we call squeeze the cane and cook the syrup.
Yes, and that's a big part of tradition. I mean, Wade Peebles from Georgia Folk and Farm Life and all those folks, they love to talk about a cane grinding and then a syrup making. I mean, that's a huge part of rural agricultural tradition, and I think it's great. And I think anybody that hasn't seen it and has not smelled it, for one thing, you need to go out there on Saturday and experience that, because it really is remarkable.
It sure beats cooking chitlins, I promise you that.
You know what? You talked about biscuits. The last time I was out at the fairgrounds, I got to see the Blue Ribbon biscuit from the from the Georgia National Fair, and I thought, that's saying something when you can win a blue ribbon for a biscuit in Georgia. You know what I mean? So maybe we could get that lady to come out there and cook some biscuits. That's what needs to happen. But I'd love to taste a blue ribbon biscuit at once, just once in my life. Hamilton,
sop it in some of this cane syrup.
That's right. You were talking about some of the stuff that's on display. There's an entire plowing exhibition, though, that's going to be going on with this stuff. It's not just static. I mean, these things are going to be up, moving around and working. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I was gonna dive off into that. This is a working show. The first year we did not have plowing. The second year, they had not an indoor, but an under shed horse arena that they asked for the dirt to be turned in, and everybody's eyes opened up, and they gave us a piece of real estate out in the southeast corner of the property. We will have tractors with subsoilers, plows, disc, and so on, actually going inside that covered arena, especially if it gets too much rain tomorrow. All the plowing will be focused inside that horse arena. If it doesn't rain out the outside lot, we will open up the field in the southeast corner. And to help everyone, we will have a tram going from the clock tower to those two locations. Whether it be the the covered arena or out to the field, there'll be a tram going back and forth. People are welcome to bring their golf carts, their something that's helps them get around. They can drive out to the plowing area themselves. So we want to make it as user friendly, spectator friendly, but it is going to be a working show. I will go ahead and spin off on this inside the Reeves Arena. The Reeves Arena is right there adjacent to the clock tower. That's where typically all of your concerts and fancy rodeos and horse shows and all are. This year, it'll be a first. We're having a mini garden tractor pool. And Mr. Ben Crosby from East Georgia, he's coordinating all of that. He's the go-to guy for that, but he's already got about 125 to 150 mini garden tractors lined up to do pulling. They'll be pulling a weighted sled, and the competition will be for that garden tractor to go as far as it can before that sled bogs it down. And whoever gets the furthest through elimination comes out on top, and trophies will be awarded and all that. If you go in there to watch that event, they tell me, I have not been to one of these, but they tell me you may want to bring your earmuffs or some earplugs. And they say it's a sight to see.
I'm looking forward to that.
It gets kind of loud in there.
I'm looking forward to that.
It gets kind of loud, so I want everybody to know about that as well.
Well, there you go. Now, listen, I want to point this out. This is the Antique Ag Show going on, and it's going to go on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And someone was saying, well, why aren't they having it Sunday? And I said, because it's an Antique Ag Show. They're demonstrating how everybody takes Sunday off. And you're going to do the same thing.
That's right.
We're not going to be there Sunday.
Right. That's right.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you can come out there to the Antique Ag Show and have a great time. The other thing that I think is really cool about this is the show is growing. And this year... It is. This year we're going to have... Well, no, I was just going to say, in conjunction with the Perry, Georgia Auto Fair that's also going on out there this weekend, $5, they'll get you into both events. So there's something for everyone.
Absolutely correct. The first year, Matt, we had 197 exhibits, and those exhibits, again, ranged anywhere from memorabilia to antique equipment to demonstrations and so on. Last year, with the COVID and all that, we had 261 exhibits with the plowing and all that. We were real busy. The COVID did kind of keep some people at home, and that's totally understandable. This year, the Perry, Georgia Auto Fair has reached out to us. That's why we moved it back a week. They wanted to move it back a week rather than the weekend before Thanksgiving, and we obliged them with that. And I think it's a win-win for everyone, the Auto Fest folks, us, and the spectators. Once you come in that west gate as a spectator or a guest, you'll have access to, you turn right over onto the midway where the carnival usually is during your national fair. All of that is dedicated to the Auto Fest. And everything to the left between the clock tower and the Georgia Grown building, all of that's going to be dedicated to the Antique Ag Show. They're not going to be you're not going to see a 57 Chevy next to that steam engine, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
They wouldn't want to dirty it up, you know what I mean?
No. That guy running that steam engine would have to do a lot of explaining to that guy with the 57 Chevy. But
that's right.
They're going to be kept separate, but you'll be able to drive, again, your golf cart or whatever through both venues without no problems. You'll have total access. I don't know if they're having a rabbit show this year, but if they are, you'll have access to it as well. So once you come in that west gate, you have free run of the whole property. We'll have a tram get you out to the plowing field if we don't get rained out there, which I don't think we are. But you'll be able to go anywhere, see anything, do anything that you want to do once you get in that west gate.
Oh, I think it's going to be great. And you've been talking with us all morning, and this is Hamilton Halford you're hearing on Georgia Radio, and I'm glad you're here, Hamilton. Let me dive into this, because the car show is going to be there at the same time as the Antique Ag Show. You got into this for a lot of reasons, but mainly your love for this old equipment. What are you working on right now? Because this stuff is affordable to restore. It's also, fairly easy to work on. If you've got a big set of tools, you can usually work on it. Talk to us a little bit about that, because the hobby aspect of this, there's shows all over the place talking about antique tractors, classic tractor fever, and it's all on YouTube.
Yes, sir.
I don't think it's ever been as popular as it is right now. Talk to us a little bit about the hobby aspect of this.
Well, Matt, I pretty much cut my teeth on John Deere's back in the late 70s. My daddy put me on a John Deere 620 Orchard and put me in a pecan orchard and told me not to come home until I got that orchard mowed. And if my mama or OSHA had come out and caught me in that orchard on that particular tractor at my age at that time, Mama would have either whooped Daddy or OSHA would have put him in jail. But I came on up through my career with the Georgia State Patrol. Daddy got rid of the tractors, got rid of the orchards, and I always wondered what happened to that to that tractor that Daddy had back whenever I was in middle school. And I got to researching some numbers on John Deere's, and it kind of piqued my interest. And my first tractor I ever bought was a 1947 style D, hand start. Just to give you an idea, the flywheel on this tractor weighs 150 pounds plus or minus. And it's a hand start, and that's how you crank it. You grab a hold of that flywheel and you crank it. And people ask me, oh, why do you like John Deere's? Well, I know a little bit about the history. I know about the numbers, and I gravitate towards the rare models. I go for I've got a blue John Deere, a white John Deere, an orange John Deere, a turquoise and white, a crash truck yellow John. I go for the different color John Deere's. I go for the orchards and the high crops. And over there at the show, you will see certain collectors gravitate towards Massey Ferguson's. You got others that gravitate towards the Fords and the Alice Scheimers and so on and so on. You ask me what I'm working on right now. I'm working on everything I've got. I've got I don't know how many tractors are out here, but I've got enough to keep me busy. But in total, I've got about 8 or 9 tractors that are fully restored, and they're kind of rare. To give you an idea in that retrospect, I've got one that John Deere only made 3 of. I've got one that left the factory painted orange, and they only made 2 of them in that color orange. And if you just close your eyes and picture John Deere sold worldwide, 1 of 2 or 1 of 3 or 1 of 6, that's getting down in kind of ultra rare category. And I have some common tractors as well, but right now I'm not working on a particular tractor, but I've got my eyes. I'm sitting here looking at about 2 or 3 that are good candidates to pull into the shop and work on this winter and restore back to pristine condition. Everything I've got will crank up and run and drive itself into the shop. Between everything else I've got going on, I've just got to pick out which one I'm going to set my mind to and get it in the shop and get it restored.
I think it's great. Now, that 620 that you were talking about, the Orchard tractor, that's the one that's got all the fairings on it. And does the seat kind of hang off the back end a little bit?
Yes, sir. The sheet metal, the fancy sheet metal that one sees, people come up and ask, why does it have all that fancy sheet metal on it? And I kind of kid with them. I said, well, that's to help me. That's to help me whenever I start from the line in my races.
That's right.
But no, the sheet metal, all that fancy fairing and everything you see on these Orchard tractors was to help that tractor go down between rows of peaches or apples or whatever, and it allowed the limbs and the fruit on the tree to just slide over the tractor, and the operator did sit on the rear of the tractor down in a lower than usual position, and he had a little shield that he could get under and allow those limbs or whatever to go over the top of him. So none of the ones I've got now that have been restored will probably ever go back out through an orchard or a grove like that. But that's what that's the reason why they were built like they were.
The one that
I've got some. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say there's usually a row of Orchard tractors. And it's just they're magnificent machines to see, and that always stands out to me. I mean, they're really stunning tractors to see, and I don't know who wouldn't like them.
Inside the Georgia Grown building, I've carried 3 items over there already, and haven't got them quite put in place yet. But I've got the smallest John Deere cotton picker ever made is a number 12 John Deere cotton picker mounted on a 420. I've got a John Deere 111 peanut combine. I'm right here in the middle of peanut country, or at the north end of it in Georgia. And back whenever I found this thing, I didn't even know John Deere made peanut combines. But I did some research, found out about this one, and went and got it and its brother, and wound up getting 2 others. So you'll see one of those in there. And that tractor that I mentioned that John Deere only made 3 of it will be right there amongst the cotton picker and the peanut combine as well. But it's got something unique attached to it. It's got what we call, what the manufacturer's name for it was a red squirrel nut harvester. It has got a pecan harvester mounted on it, and it's 1960s vintage, about the same age as the tractor. And I said, well, let me do something real unique here. And I mounted the pecan harvester or nut harvester to that tractor, and I carried it to Columbus, Ohio, to the Classic Green reunion back in June. And I had to explain to a lot of folks from up north that pecans grow on trees. They kept asking me, how does this machine beat a pecan up out of the dirt? And I said, they don't grow in the ground. They grow on trees, and you let them fall and explain. But I have fun explaining all that, and that's what the purpose of that is not to just carry it over there and said I've got signage and everything, but I like explaining to people what that machine is and what it does, and when it was built and everything, to let them understand that Walmart doesn't have a room in the back there that just puts all that stuff in a little container and put it on a shelf. That stuff has to start somewhere, and something has to get it up, and something has to get it in. And a lot of this old machinery that you're going to see this weekend was the emphasis start of a lot of that back in the day.
I want to ask if there's a Graham Bradley. I just, every time I see one of those, I say, I got to have one. I just got to have one. What a neat old tractor.
If you show up at the show, if there's not a Graham Bradley there, we had one there the first year, and I think last year Graham Bradley did make a tractor. They make garden cultivators. They made a whole bunch of stuff. But if you just got to have one, I can probably link you up with the guy to make that happen.
I'm telling you, what a beautiful old machine.
Happen. It is a beautiful tractor. It sure is.
Yeah, they're really nice to look at. And now, I got to ask you this too, because I know somebody already sent me in Ryan wrote in and he said, is it too late if you want to display one, and is there going to be a judging of tractors out there?
There may be some gimmick judging, like ugliest tractor or who come the farthest away, okay, or something like that. But we're not going to get into no nitpicking judging at this show. I apologize. Now, the car show at the Auto Swap Fest or the Georgia Auto Fair, they're having a car show Saturday. I think it starts in the morning and goes through lunch and winds up in the evening. But the tractor, the Antique Ag Show, we will not be doing any plaques or handing out trophies for that. No, sir. We want everybody to come and have a good time. If the tractor just come out of the field, that's fine. How late can you come in? We were shooting for having everybody set up around noon tomorrow. But if someone has got work-related issues and they can't make it until Friday, that is perfectly fine. We want to make it work for everybody. My phone number is available. Anybody can call me anytime with any questions, concerns, comments, kudos, or whatever. We want it to work for everybody, not just the exhibitors and the vendors, but for the spectators and the guests as well.
I can't tell you how much I enjoy this event. One of my favorites out there at the Georgia National Fairgrounds. It's going on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We're talking about the Antique Ag Show with the event chairman. Hamilton Halford has been our guest today. I see this as something that could really continue to grow and keep getting bigger. And, the fairgrounds out there in Perry, they're just the perfect place. What do you have in store for us? What is your vision for this, Hamilton, as the years continue on with it?
Matt, kind of giving you a comparison, and a lot of your listeners today probably aren't familiar, but they can research it. They have what they call the half century of progress at the old Chanute Air Force Base in Rantoul, Illinois. They've only had 10 shows over the last 20 years. And what they do up there is the Chanute Air Force Base, kind of like Robins Air Force Base, has closed down, and the Air Force gave that property over to the city of Rantoul. The city of Rantoul, in turn, leases the land around inside the fence, but around the runways up there. They lease that out to local farmers. The local farmers go in there and maintain the grass and the fields, and they'll go in there and grow a crop. They'll grow a crop under that lease, and they grow crops for whatever they're growing up there, and then like this year they had their show, and they allowed all of this antique machinery to show up there. And they came in there and started out in an organized manner. They gathered all the crops. They started out with the mule-drawn stuff, then they worked up to the small tractors, then the medium tractors, and then the big tractors. They would go through there and gather all the crops. Then they would come through and cut down the stalks, the corn stalks and everything. Then they'd come through and harrow it. Then they'd come back through and bottom plow it. And again, that bottom plowing, they would start with a one-bottom mule-drawn plow. And I was a field marshal behind a 17 bottom plow. So they gradually worked from the smallest up to the biggest. Down here at Perry, they're sitting on around 950 to 1,000 acres. I would say 2/3 of that is now being leased out to a local farmer, and the vision is to talk with him and see if he can initially plant a few crops that we grow down here: peanuts, cotton, some corn, and some soybeans, and allow these folks with the show that has equipment that can come in and gather the peanuts, cotton, corn, and soybeans, let them gather it and put it on his trucks. We don't want to take it to the warehouse, put it on his trucks, let him get whatever money he can out of it, but allow us an opportunity to show our wares and exercise our antique equipment. So that is still in the talks and the vision of where we're headed. I don't know if we'll ever grow to the size of Rantoul, but I think we're pointed in the right direction. Now, to give you a vision of how big Rantoul or the half century of progress has grown to, people are telling me that Rantoul started 20 years ago, about like the Perry Antique Ag Show has started. To go up there and rent a golf cart amongst 30,000 golf carts, not 3,000, but 30,000 for a 3-day event. That's how big that event has grown up there. So I doubt we'll ever get that big down here. If we do, I hope I'm part of it. But that's the direction we're headed in. And we're not trying to put Half Century of Progress or anyone else out of business, but we're just trying to give folks a place to come to and have a good time to see how it was, and let the guys bring the machinery out from under the shed and bring it up here and exercise.
I think that's great. Well, Hamilton, thanks so much. I look forward to seeing you. Now, you and I are both pilots. One of the things we need out there is that big old 600-horse Stearman, showing up. I saw it at Oshkosh a few years back, and it's been around the circuit. We need that family to bring it down there and give us a duster demo, or put it out there. That'd be fun.
Well, Matt, being that you mentioned it, the National Agriculture Aviation Association is having their annual convention in Savannah this year in December, and you just happened to mention it. There is an agriculture Stearman and an agriculture Ag Cat vintage sitting at the Perry Airport as we speak.
Well, see, there you go. We'll get Bill Cootie on that and get him out there to fly it at some point. But
you jog him, you prod him a little bit and see. I'm sure he knows how to get it cranked.
Yes,
and if he comes out there and does some loops and rolls, we'll be glad to have him.
There you go. He can get it started. He can fly it. Hey, listen, thanks for coming on, Hamilton. You made my day coming on. I look forward to meeting you in person this week out there at the fair. It'll be a lot of fun. The Antique Ag Show. I got getting tongue-tied here. This Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. They're not going to be there on Sunday, so don't even bother showing up on Sunday for that. But they're going to be out there Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Been a real pleasure, and I hope you'll come back on, Hamilton. Thanks again.
Matt, again, the gates open tomorrow, Thursday at 12, and we'll go to about 6, and then 8 o'clock and 6 o'clock on Friday and Saturday. Be glad to have y'all.
All right. Thanks again. Everybody, we'll take your buy, swap, and sell stuff next week. We're just all out of time today, but call in next week if you've got something to buy, swap, or sell. 678-390-8633 for next week. We'll get you on the air. My thanks again to Hamilton Halford for coming on, and I hope to see you out there this weekend at the Georgia National Fairgrounds for the Georgia National Antique Ag Show and the Perry, Georgia Auto Fair going on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's going to be a fun time. For more information, you can click on the quick link. We'll put that in the podcast here in just a few minutes, and we'll have it up there at georgiaradio.com. We'll also be sharing it on Facebook. Thanks so much for listening. I'll be with you till 2 o'clock today. Give me a few minutes here to go gather up the request. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's meet right back here at 11, and we'll continue the show. Thanks again. So long, everybody.
Georgia Radio. Good company and great country.